Hey, what's up, guys? Episode 2, True North Motivation. I'm your host, Orion Jones, here with True North Motivation. I'm the founder and CEO, and my mission is to help men overcome depression and low self esteem. That is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, and I created this business as a motivational speaker, developing workshops to help men keep their man card, keep stoicism, character, who they are, but overcome the struggles and trials and tribulations that we go through as men. And, I built this platform because I personally have been through my own experiences. And I always say this disclaimer that my experiences are no better or worse than anyone out there's. They're just mine. But I've had to overcome depression and I hit rock bottom and I looked down the wrong end of a shotgun. And since that point, I knew that I could never allow that to happen in my life again. I'm a father of twin 11-year-old girls now, and I knew that I couldn't ever put myself or have myself be in that situation of vulnerability again. And my dependence on somebody else for my own self-worth. And when that person, who was my ex-wife, told me that she didn't love me anymore and that she didn't want to be with me and she had outgrown me and she was leaving me, it devastated me. And it took me down a rabbit hole of depression and but I peeled back a lot of layers of the onions and I realized, what the accountability mirror is. And I looked in myself and I looked into myself and I decided from that moment when I looked down that wrong end of the shotgun that I was going to make a change and I was going to become the best version of myself. And on top of that, I knew that I had to find my mission. And that's where the phrase true north came from, is I had to find my own true north. I had to find my own purpose, my own why. And I had to learn about myself and what got me to that point in my life and what brought me to rock bottom. But here's great news, though, is that rock bottom is a very solid foundation to build from. And when you start building yourself up from rock bottom and you're dedicated to this and you're dedicated to the long-term grind of this process, it's an incredible journey. But it is a journey. And I've taken so many lessons from what happened to me and found purpose in my pain. And as I like to say, there's lessons in the blessings. And I've developed a program off of what I've experienced and what I went through to be able to help other men overcome this same, low emotion, low self-esteem, rock bottom, whatever you want to call it, the same experiences. I took myself back to school. I'm currently obtaining my doctorate degree in leadership, studying depression in men. I've listened to over now 500 near-death experiences. I've studied world religion. I've dove deep into what created this in me and what I can do to overcome it and what steps, tools, coping mechanisms, things that I can incorporate into my life to make sure that never happens to me again. And I've learned it. And I'm here to teach you out there how to overcome the same thing and how to be fun and how to maintain your guy card and how to, I didn't want to lay on a couch and tell somebody about all my problems. I'm not built like that. Yes, it's nice to have friends to be able to go to and confide into. And I had some of those, but I'm a man and I'm a dude and I'm Gen X. I'm 48 years old. I come from a blue collar country environment. We didn't know what depression was back in our day. No one had it, or if they did, they didn't admit it. And, as we went through life, then it was more suck it up, buttercup. And that was kind of the expectation. But, when I hit it and I, like I said, almost to the point of taking my own life. And then when I started diving deep into this subject, I learned that only 15% of men seek mental health treatment from professionals, counseling services, whatever that might be. Yet 80% of all completed suicides were done by men. Let me repeat that fact. 15% of men, only 15% of us seek professional help for to overcome our mental challenges, depression, low self-esteem, whatever that may be. And 80% of us are the ones that are looking down that wrong end of that shotgun and completing that task. And that's when I knew it's the silent epidemic. And in today's society, I want to take the steps to make a change and to provide men an avenue to be able to be vulnerable, but still be powerful. And how do you do that? How do you overcome this very sensitive issue while still maintaining your man card and still being a man and having stoicism and character and discipline and ethics and morals and what makes you a man. And that's part of why I built this, is because when I hit rock bottom, I didn't find any of these avenues, any of these tools and coping mechanisms. So some of the stuff what we're going to talk about tonight is what I've learned and what I've studied and what I've developed in my programs to help men overcome depression. And the founding principles of what I've developed is based off of strength, power, and control. So you've got strength, power, and control. And through those guiding principles right there of those three sayings, comes also off of the 4 pillars of forgiveness, gratitude, love, and faith. And if I start by saying forgiveness, gratitude, love, and faith, then even to myself, I'm like, well, this is kind of a soft message. And, I don't know if it's going to resonate with me. But let me weave this in on how this ties together with strength, power, and control incorporated into forgiveness, gratitude, love, and faith. Okay? Because it takes strength to forgive. It is hard to forgive, but there's a reason why that's the first pillar in the 4 pillars of the foundational principles that I built in my program. Because you have to forgive yourself first. You have to look in the mirror and forgive yourself for your past. And you have to forgive yourself for your demons and your mistakes. Hey, there is no halo sitting above this head right here. There might be some lights that make it look like it right there, but the mistakes that I've made in my life are abundant. And I am by no means a perfect angel, and I've lived, I've lived a life, and I know many of you out there have. So I'm not coming to you from an aspect or from a perspective of, hey, I've only been perfect in my life, and I'm going to tell you guys how to be perfect. No, I have been an F up in my life, and I've been smart enough, I guess, to be able to keep my head above water, fake it till you make it, put up the front, put up the show, to be able to, have what most would consider a successful life. But it was only on paper. And, again, when I hit rock bottom, I looked in the accountability mirror and I realized that I had a low self-esteem. I didn't love myself. I had made a lot of mistakes in my life, and I covered it up with drugs and alcohol and partying and being that guy and, putting that hat on a Friday night or whatever night. And everyone loved it and loved me. And I was OJ, like I said, my name's Orion Jones. My nickname's OJ, party animal, drink the most beer, smoke the most, devil's lettuce, do all the things that you would associate with that lifestyle. And, I was married for 15 years and raised a family, and I have settled down some, but, I was still living that dual lifestyle. And many of us do, where you're working during the week and you're living for the weekend and you're partying it up, and, maybe a few times throughout the week and on the Wednesday night and, and then on the Thursday and then the Friday and the Saturday. And all of a sudden the dreams and ambitions that you might have just kind of go away. And they're covered up by life, and they're covered up by your career and the job that you have to support your family, and your dreams and hopes and ambitions and what you thought you would be. You blink and you're 48. So tying back into why forgiveness is the first pillar, because when I hit that rock bottom and I knew I needed to make a change, I had to look at myself in the mirror and I had to say, what's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong in my life? And then I had to forgive myself for those things, for the mistakes I made, and love myself. I did stuff like I brushed my teeth left-handed. I'm right-handed. I brush my teeth left-handed. I read a study that said that brushing your teeth with your opposite hand creates new neurotransmitters in your brain. And while you're creating those new neurotransmitters, then telling yourself you love yourself, you're then recreating new memories, new thoughts, new connections with those synapses in your brain, and you're developing self-love. And I thought it was the stupidest thing. I was like, I love you. I love you. I love you. But what happens over time is that when you take it seriously and you look yourself in the eye and you say, I love you, Orion Jones, then one day happens, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day. All of a sudden you're looking at yourself in the eye and you're saying, I love you. I forgive you. And when you start doing that for yourself, you start taking these steps forward. And that's what it's all about, is when you want to become better, you have to start somewhere. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. So you take that first step and then you go, oh, okay. And then another tool that I incorporated was the I am drill. And the I am are the two most powerful words that you can say to yourself. And what comes after those words of I am dictate how you feel about yourself, your success in your life, your self-esteem, your self-worth, and what goals that you can accomplish. Because when you're saying to yourself, I am worthy, I am loved, I am strong, I am capable, then it changes you and it changes your mindset. But my I ams were, I am worthless, I am dumb, I am not loved, I am, and somebody outgrew me, I'm not a good man, I'm not a good person, I am a liar, I wrote down all of my negative I ams on one side of the paper, all my positive I ams on the other side, fold that some SOB in half, ripped it in half, took the bad part outside and burnt it. Again, I was like, is this stupid? Is this what is this? But everything ties together. And there's so many different aspects that we're going to talk about on this show throughout the mini podcast that I'm going to record, to be able to weave everything in, to be able to make you the best version of yourself, because it's hard and it's long and it takes dedication and discipline, and you're going to trip, you're going to fail, you're going to fall down 7, you're going to get up 8. But there's a reason why I incorporated these 4 pillars. And even though I've gone off track a little bit, this is how it's going to be. I'm going to talk about one at a time and why it's so important to start with number 1 and how everything weaves into each other. Because it's all a process to be able to create the best version of you. And you just can't do one without the other, which you'll learn over the course of this program. But, starting with forgiveness is pillar number 1. And so forgiving yourself for the mistakes that you made in the past, and loving yourself and figuring out what steps you need to take to look in that mirror and say to yourself, I love you, and believe it and say, I forgive you. I forgive you, Orion Jones. I forgive you, Jeff, Steve, Sam, Todd, Josh, Don. It doesn't matter whatever your name is. When you can look in yourself and look into your eyes and tell yourself you love yourself and you forgive yourself, that is step 1. That is step 1. And then realizing what you say to yourself. Because once you forgive yourself, that's when the I am words really matter. And that's when you start saying, I am worthy. I am loved. I am good enough. I am a good husband. I am a good man. I am a good father. I'm a good, and really incorporating those beliefs into who you are. And it's incredible the way that you start to grow from that first step. Under the same forgiveness umbrella, you have to forgive others. And again, strength. So strength, power, and control. Wow, does it take strength to control others that hurt you? I'm not going to show all my skeletons and, air out all my dirty laundry, but let's just say that, when my ex-wife left, that there was somebody else. And that'll devastate a man. That will take away all of your confidence and self-worth, and that you've been replaced, and that there was somebody else for a long time. And that hidden fact, and that you knew it, but you didn't want to believe it. And this man had been in my house. He drank my beer. He ate my food. My wife. Yeah. And I'm a dude. I'm a step behind the gym and knuckle up. Let's go. Type guy. And to not do that, because what happens? What happens if I go and beat the tar out of that guy? What happens if I go and attack that guy? Yeah, I love it. It'll feel good. It will. But I'm a father. And what happens if I hurt him? Or when I hurt him, I should have said. What happens then? And what happens if I get a felony charge, get thrown in jail? I let this man ruin my life once, not by my choice. Now it becomes my choice. And that's a hard thing. And that I would sit up at 3:00 in the morning and wake up in my bed by myself and just take swings at the air, just hitting him. I had a heavy bag upstairs. When I'd lift weights, I'd picture his face. Like I'm saying, that rage, that anger, that, you're a man and I'm a dude, and, you guys fight. That's what we did. And when you mess up and, you cross another man like that, there's repercussions to actions. And I'm okay with that. Like I've lived that life and I'm okay with it. As a 48-year-old man, or 46 at the time, I had to make a tough decision. And I had to make a decision as a father and as a grown man on how I approached that. And it was hard. There's no other words for it. It's hard and it takes strength. And that's where the word strength in forgiveness comes in, is that forgiving others, forgiving yourself takes strength. Forgiving others, oh, buddy, you want to talk about a hard thing. And I forgave him. I forgave her. I forgave others. I started to look into my life, and when I was peeling back the layers of the onions and looking to people who had hurt me, and you look at your childhood, you look at what developed you look at what brought you to the point. Because when you start forgiving yourself, you have to peel back the layers of the onion. You just can't say, I forgive you for treating women wrong. I forgive you for doing this. I forgive you for picking on this person. I forgive you. Why? I had to start realizing that, I was fake, that I put up a front, that I wasn't real. It was a show. And, I had to start peeling back the layers of the onions and figuring out why I have a low self-esteem. I'm like, cause I was always that cocky ego, college baseball player, athlete, I'm 6'2", 220, not a little dude. And, you would not expect, I wouldn't expect. I see a lot of people out there that I wouldn't expect that would have a low self-esteem, and they do. And people wouldn't expect that out of me. Again, I lived a great Facebook life, great life on paper. But at the end of the day, I was shallow and I was weak and I had low self-esteem, and I had to come to terms with those things and figure out why that I loved being the guy at the party that everyone slapped on his back, making jokes, drink the most beer, having a blast. And that was my MO. And that was my coping mechanism, per se. That's how I boosted up my ego of making sure that I had self-worth. And that's what I associated self-worth with, was how I partied and how I drank and how, I could make fun of people and, be a certain way and be a certain dude. And that's how I valued myself. But at the end of the day, that lifestyle took away from what I could build in my life and me chasing my dreams. And what I'm doing right now, stone cold sober, I shut down the bottle. I stopped smoking pot. I stopped watching porn. I started to refine my life into the best version that I can become. I didn't do it overnight. So don't think for a second that you've just got to shut everything down. But what you find as you climb through that pyramid and you start getting refined more and more and more, the better I live my life, men, the better my life is. And then you start to yearn for it. And you're like, oh, you mean when I live my life with discipline? You mean when I make the right choices, when I choose not to drink, when I choose not to borrow happiness from the next day by drinking the night before, smoking the night before, doing those things, my life's better. I feel the same way today that I did yesterday. And I'm building this business and I'm accomplishing my dreams, and I'm a 3.9 doctoral student. I got no business being in a doctorate program. I barely made it through college. If it wouldn't have been for baseball, I would have never gone to college, period. I would have never got my master's degree. I was a graduate assistant, and I found a way. I snuck through. Let's put it that way. So you're not talking to a scholar. And when I chose to go back to school to get my doctorate degree, I had read one book in my life, My Side of the Mountain, when I was in the 5th grade. Still remember it. And, for me to go into a doctorate program with the volume of reading that we have to do and the volume of writing, and to be able to be a year and a half deep into the program now and being successful, it's hard. It's hard, but the benefits behind it are unbelievable. And I mean unbelievable personal benefits, not just from a monetary aspect of what my future can hold, but the personal growth and self-esteem and self-worth that I've had that inevitably gets created because of taking proper steps forward, living a disciplined lifestyle, making the right choices in my life, making better choices for myself. finding my spirituality, and we'll talk about that, whether or not we get to it in this episode or not. But, I wanted to start with strength, power, and control, and really build this podcast message off of those with the 4 pillars. And then there's 10 guiding principles. So don't worry, you don't got to do math, so then no worries, you don't need a calculator, no need to write this down. But the strength, power, and control, and how they tie in to the 4 pillars. And like I said, forgiveness is the very first pillar, and forgiving yourself first and then forgiving others takes so much strength and power and control of yourself. I mean, all 3 of those different words just tie into forgiveness. But then you go into gratitude. And until you've forgiven yourself and you've forgiven others, you can't truly be grateful for the things in your life. But it's the next step. And it happens after you forgive. And here's a mind-blowing moment is after now almost 3 years later, I think, whatever the math is from when my wife walked out on me, ex-wife, I'm grateful for it. I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for the man that she walked out on me for. I thank God for that. I say that things happen for me, not to me. That's an incredible growth step. And that takes so much strength to be able to say things happen for you. There's purpose in pain. There's suffering in salvation. There's growth. There's opportunity there. And when you look back on the things that happen for you and not to you, then that strength and power and control that it takes to be able, as a man, to be able to be grateful for the things that happen in your life, positive and negative. And I'm thankful for my ex-wife. I am. I wouldn't be the man. I would not be where I am today. I wouldn't be the man I am today without her. I would not have my children without her. And so I am thankful for her. I'm grateful for her. And I've come to terms with that. I'm grateful for that man. I'm grateful for the other man that was in my house, that ate my food, that backstabbed me, that did that, because I'm here today. I'm chasing my dreams. I'm the best version of myself because he did that, and I can look you in the eye and say, is there none of me is there everything in me that only wishes him the best and the most happiness and success in his life? There's still a part of me that wants to beat the tar out of him. And I'll try to be respectful on this YouTube platform of my cuss words, holding off F-bombs and S-bombs and whatnot. But yeah, I think there always will be. But that control, and that's where that strength and control comes in. And that philosophy, I would rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war of, I know what I can do. I know I've laced up my shoes. I've walked out. I fought dudes that I was not picking on them at all. And, we walked outside into a circle of people in Fight Club style. And I've been there, and I've a lot of confidence in my ability, but my ability to control myself. I am 100% in control of myself 100% of the time. I am 100% in control of myself 100% of the time. And that's what happens with growth. And that's what happens with learning how to forgive yourself, learning how to forgive others, learning how to be grateful, and learning how to be grateful for the things that happen for you and not to you. And then you start to develop the mindset of being grateful for so many things in your life. I get to do things. I don't have to do things. I get to. I'm a dad. Every other week, Sunday to Sunday, I watch my girls. I'm a 100% full-time dad, Sunday to Sunday, 7 days a week, every other week. And I was washing the dishes after cooking them breakfast in the morning, getting them ready for school. And I was thinking to myself, you know what? I get to wash these dishes. I get to be their dad. I got to make their lunch. I get to be here right now with these amazing little girls. And it is incredible. And it changes your mindset when you don't sit there and say, man, I have to wash these dishes. I have to make them lunch. I have to, it changes you. And that's where gratitude comes in. And that's where strength comes in. And that's where power comes in. And that's where control comes in. And it all starts to weave together more only through the first 2 pillars of understanding the power of forgiveness and the strength that it takes and the control that it takes and the power of gratitude and the strength that it takes and the control that it takes to be grateful every single day. Every single day I'm grateful. Every single day I wake up and I go and I walk outside if it's nice enough out, or else I have my morning gratifications and I take my time and I thank God for all the things in my life. And I'm grateful for everything that's happened to me every single day. I break those things down and I'm so thankful for that. And it's such a growth. And those are, the first two pillars that I'm going to cover on today's episode. And we're going to talk about love and faith and the strength and power in those on the next episode. And we're just going to keep building on this message. And, I just want to have a conversation with you guys. I just want to be a regular dude. That's who I am. And what I've been through, and hopefully what I've learned and what I've developed in my life and what I'm studying and what I've created is beneficial for you. And even just hearing that you're not alone, even just hearing that you're not in this fight alone, that, all of us have the two wolves, brothers. All of us have those two wolves, that bad wolf and that good wolf. And that bad wolf will sit there and holler at you and tell you why you're not good enough and how to feed that good wolf. Both those wolves are hungry. You got to feed the good wolf. And how do you do that? And that's why I'm here. And that's what I developed in these programs. So, thanks for joining me here. I look forward to continuing on these educational talks and being able to continue to grow with you guys and support you in your journey. And if you ever want to reach out to me, my email is truenorthmotivation1@gmail.com. So True North Motivation was taken, threw a 1 in there. We're good. So truenorthmotivation1@gmail.com. And, let's just continue to grow together, continue to build as men, and continue to support each other. And, stay strong, stay vibrant, and become the best versions of yourself. Your journey to become the best version of yourself starts here. And to find your true north, find your purpose, and find your why. So be good. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you.